Yo, what's up? A bit of a different video today. I'm here to give my own thoughts on the Stop Killing Games initiative, mainly talking about how game developers have started to come out against this initiative when it's not going to really disable what they do, it's just to open a dialogue, so to speak. To go over a little bit about what the Stop Killing Games initiative is, I'm just going to read straight from the objectives. This initiative calls to require publishers that sell or license video games to consumers in the European Union, or related features and assets sold for video games they operate, to leave said video games in a functional, playable state. Specifically, the initiative seeks to prevent the remote disabling of video games by the publishers before providing reasonable means to continue functioning of said video games without the involvement from the side of the publisher. The initiative does not seek to acquire ownership of said video games, associated intellectual rights, or monetization rights. Neither does it expect the publisher to provide resources for the said video game once they discontinue it, while leaving it in a reasonably functional or playable state. Now, just from what I understand, what that is supposed to even mean would be that it is a consumer rights movement based on contacting the EU offices to help open a discussion for game developers to try and have an end-of-life plan for their games, mainly with games as a service or games that operate off of a server. It would help with games still being able to be supported after being taken offline. And it doesn't just extend to multiplayer games or game servers, but even single-player games that require an internet connection as well. This all pertains to games that require an internet connection in order to function in one way or another. Something I can directly think about is Phantasy Star Online and how those servers have been gone from, Sega's database for an incredibly long time now. The game's been out since the GameCube era, but with the help of fan preservation, they were able to revive the game by creating, a private server. So as you can see, you can create your own account basically and still be able to experience Phantasy Star Online as it was seen back in the day. So the main focus of what I wanted to talk about was how the video game industry is trying to squash this movement by stating that you don't actually own your games. Bit of a fiery opinion from that Park Place. But yes, the Stop Killing Games movement has just hit 1 million signatures, and I can show right here as of recording, they have hit 1,309,193. I can refresh the page. They're actually at 9,264. So surely but slowly climbing, we are almost there. But yes, this whole ordeal, this monumentous task, just to open a dialogue, not to set anything in stone, but just to be like, hey, let's make this conversation happen in the EU. It triggered a mandatory response from lawmakers and setting the stage for a public hearing in the European Parliament. But as the campaign, spearheaded by YouTuber Ross Scott, this guy, he made this post in the morning, 1.3 million signatures, amazing, right? I even mentioned him in my Fear of Missing Out video that I released a few weeks back. Yeah, so it effectively has gained global momentum, but yeah, the video game industry has fired back. In a newly published rebuttal, Video Games Europe, a lobbying organization representing nearly every major AAA game publisher, has come out firmly against the campaign's demands. Their stance is blunt. Players do not actually own the games they buy. I will say it again, players do not actually own the games that they buy. This may be somewhat of an opinion of what this person is saying, but you're effectively buying a digital license to play a game. You're not buying to own your game. You're not buying the ownership. That's my opinion, by the way, but I think that sentiment is now becoming more and more widespread over time. And publishers must retain the freedom to shut games down if they see fit, at any point. Your Steam library? Gabe Newell is a great guy, yes he is, that I definitely agree to. If the company ever becomes publicly traded in the near to far future, you just may not see your library if things shut down and they kind of double back on their word on, hey, we'll still let you be able to access your games in an offline sense. Can you, though? There's a lot of DRM out there. So much DRM. Denuvo. All video games, whether digital or physical copies, are licensed, the group states in their official response. As is the case with virtually all digital works when consumers purchase online games, regardless of the country of sale, what they acquire is a personal license to access and play the copy of the game that they have purchased in accordance with the game's terms of service. The consumer does not acquire ownership of that video game. These clear intellectual property rights underpin the entire market and enable the strong investment that the industry has seen for decades. probably because it's never been challenged before. There is no legal uncertainty about the status quo of video games. Yeah, it's just a toy. It's just a toy. There's no art. Video games aren't art. You can't have a well-written storyline that is better than a movie. Movies are art. Video games, it's just, just take it out. According to the group, since consumers purchase a personal license to access a game and not the game itself, that license can be revoked under the game's terms of service, including when online functionality is shut down. Industry backlash to preservation. The Stop Killing Games petition, launched in 2024, demands that developers be required to preserve games in a playable form, even after official servers are shut down. Supporters argue that permanently removing access to purchased titles, especially those that could function offline, is a violation of consumer rights. Video Games Europe disagrees, calling such expectations disproportionate and warning of severe consequences for the industry if they are enforced by law. Imposing a legal obligation to continue server support indefinitely or to develop online video games in a specific technical manner that will allow permanent use will raise the costs and risks of developing such games, they said. It will have a chilling effect in game design and act as a disincentive to make such games available in Europe. It is far from a trivial modification or a simple addition to the game dev. The group argues that mandating private servers or offline modes would require significant engineering and architectural challenges, especially in games where online features are tightly integrated into the core gameplay. I don't know if I agree with that, though. When you're able to see people that's like, hi, I did this in half a year of my own personal time, and they're able to recreate a server from the ground up of a beloved game. Why don't you trust fans to be able to uphold that task if you don't want to be able to support a server? I guess it's saying no, it's on the game developer in order to like create the infrastructure themselves, so that way they can shove it out, and it's going to create much longer of a dev cycle. I don't know. I don't know. Well, they could always just do that after they're done developing the game and pushing it out. Why can't they just have that be developed after the game is released? Do they have to do it before the game is released? If they're already supporting the game for a certain amount of years, why can't they just put that on their docket? Is it really that hard? I don't know anything about game development. I'm just giving my 2 cents. I don't think it's that hard. I think they're just being difficult. There's also safety and legal concerns, of course. The document also raises concerns about player safety, content moderation, and potential legal risks if companies are forced to release game code or enable community-run servers. Requiring games to run on private servers would result in the inability for games companies to continue to protect players from illegal or harmful content or conduct, they warn. Releasing game code could expose game companies and consumers to bad actors, malware, data breaches, and DDoS attacks. Oh no, DDoS! Oh, and then here's PewDiePie also giving support to the Stop Killing Games initiative. Now, when someone like this man puts Stop Killing Games in the forefront of people's minds, this thing is blowing up. Whether or not people want to agree with its initiative, I think the door has to be open and the talk has to be had. Yes, are community-run servers and private servers going to have nefarious content on them? Yes. Protect yourself if you're, going to be playing on a custom server. Of course. Common sense. They also argue that these changes would undermine intellectual property rights, damage brands, no, they won't, and open the door to unauthorized versions of games competing with official releases. So, here's the thing. 95% of your people are normal people. Normies, if you will. Okay? Maybe 90%. Maybe 80. Let's go the 80-20 rule. 80% of the population of people on this planet are just gonna buy a game and not worry about custom servers, custom content, or whatever. Just not. They're not going to. They're gonna buy your game, they're going to give you a lot of revenue, you're not going to really lose money at all. You're going to have a fraction of a percentage of people being like, oh yes, I can get this version of the game, which is the exact same as the other version of the game. You know how much work that's going to take people to do? Do you know how difficult it is to move a file from one part of your computer to another part of your computer to play like something that's, custom? Whoa. Most people don't do that. They just don't. It's not going to harm an intellectual property, in my opinion at least. Mandating games companies to keep their online games operable post-official support would undermine their rights and autonomy in deciding how their intellectual property is utilized, the document states. Okay, but hold on. They're taking the... Hold on. They're changing the topic to custom specific servers of multiplayer-only games. The conversation is about games that have multiplayer servers attached to them, or multiplayer games, yeah, sure, okay, with online servers, but to preserve them how they used to be played for a one-for-one experience. Do they still have the Gears of War 1 multiplayer servers online? Can you still play with someone on Gears of War? Like the multiplayer PvP mode? I don't even know. Here are all the companies that are a part of the pushback. You have Sony Interactive Entertainment, Microsoft, Nintendo of Europe, Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard, oh I love you, Active Blizzard, Electronic Arts, Take-Two Entertainment, Bandai Namco, Epic Games, Square Enix, WB Games, Warner Bros. Games, Embracer Group, Level Infinite, Tencent, and regional lobby group like Yuki, Cell, and Game. I don't actually know what that is. Okay, well, all of these companies operate live service games, yes, and might have actually engaged in delisting titles. The Crew. The Crew is a popular title that was delisted. I believe that was a Ubisoft game. It was a single-player game, which I think did have multiplayer, but in order to play that single-player mode, you had to connect to the internet. And when they were done, supporting the servers, you could no longer play The Crew. I believe it was a racing game, yeah. Oh, here it is, The Crew Motorfest. What happens next? Because the petition passed 1 million verified signatures in the EU, the European Commission must now formally respond. Officially, yes. Ross has stated that they needed at least another 250 signatures as a just-in-case measure in order to make sure that when the final tally is done, if there are any invalid signatures, it'll still be above 1 million signatures by the time that this ends. The deadline is July 31st, 2025. Oh, also, if you are not a European citizen, but you have EU friends, tell them, sign the petition. At worst, people will talk about this for years. At best, maybe we'll see something being talked about or done at some point to provide a way to preserve games for the future. So yes, Ross Scott will be invited to speak at a public hearing in the European Parliament, a rare opportunity for gamers to directly challenge the industry's dominance over digital access. In the meantime, Scott has warned that some signatures may not meet the, I just talked about this, encouraging supporters to continue signing at stop-killing games to build a buffer. Yep. While publishers claim they support games preservation efforts in museums and exhibitions, they draw a hard line when it comes to consumer access. As the battle between preservationists and publishers heats up, one thing is clear. This fight is no longer just about gamers. Or games. Gamer. It's about who really owns digital content in the modern age. True. Yep. And then so, this is now the Hungarian Conservative. They basically say the same thing. Stop killing games. The industry has pushed back. Growing European movement known as Stop Killing Games is demanding that players retain access to the digital games they purchase, even after publishers pull official support. With over 1.2 million signatures gathered, so far this was back when it had 1.2, the campaign has garnered widespread attention from gamers and notably from the industry itself. YouTuber Ross Scott, better known as Accursed Farms, a vocal supporter of the initiative, sees the industry's recent pushback as a sign of the campaign's rising influence. Do you think lobbyists would be speaking out against us if we had no chance of changing things? Yeah, definitely, Ross. He asked in a new video encouraging continuous support and urging fans to contact members of the European Parliament. Scott and others were quick to respond. He points out that Stop Killing Games is focused on future game development, suggesting that studios design titles with offline functionality will provide server code for fan-hosted alternatives. And I think that's what the European publishers were talking about when they said like, oh, but then the code will be in the hands of the fans and they will besmirch our intellectual properties. No, parodies have been around for years. Parodies have been around since the Newgrounds era. Haven't you been on websites in the past? Resoft fan animations. I still don't think that is going to really affect the bottom line for publishers. He adds that companies could absolve legal responsibility through user agreements, enabling games to live on in community hands. Yes, feeling the movement's fire, EA recently announced the shutdown of Anthem, which is what I wanted to talk about. A live service game that will become completely unplayable without refunds or offline options. Fans urging this highlights the very problem the movement aims to solve, the increasing instability of games ownership in the digital age. Anthem game update. We have an important update to share regarding Anthem. Hi everyone, we have an important update to share. This is on EA's website. Important update to share regarding Anthem. After careful consideration, we'll be sunsetting Anthem. I don't even think this is a sunset. This is taking it out back and ending its life. Sunsetting implies that there is still an essence of the thing. You don't say sunset in the way of destroying a property. Sunsetting Anthem on January 12th, 2026. Oh, BioWare. This means that the game will be still playable online for the next 180 plus days. Wow, how generous. As of today, you can no longer purchase in-game premium currency. Wait. Okay, so they put this game on maintenance mode for years now. You could still purchase the in-game currency? Really? But you can still use your remaining balance until the servers go offline. Just make every item free. Just make everything free. What are you doing? We deeply appreciate your dedication, passion, and support over the years. We'd like to thank you for that. For additional information on Anthem, please refer to the fact below. I'm not going to. I don't care. Yeah, Anthem was the Iron Man simulator game. I wanted to check it out eventually in the far future, but I guess I'll never be able to now. I'd like to point out that Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion is coming out in September for no particular reason. And then this happened. So yes, this is Tech 4 gamers. Ubisoft wants gamers to destroy all copies of a game once it goes offline. Apparently they have something in their EULA that wants players to destroy their copies of games once they stop supporting them. This is scummy. That is a horrific business practice, and you are going to kill your business faster than you could possibly imagine. What are you doing? Ubisoft has updated its EULA to avoid potential legal issues by discontinuing support for its games. Oh, really? The EULA now states that the company reserves the right to stop supporting a game at any time for any reason. Anytime, at any reason. You don't own anything that you buy, everybody. You don't own anything, and you will be happy. This has attracted considerable criticism from fans, which further fuels the growing dislike for Ubisoft. The growing dislike? You're about 10 years too late. Over the past few years, Ubisoft, a company once known for its great games, has received nothing but criticism from its fans. The company has hit rock bottom. It could go lower. But the thing is, there is no rock bottom. Yep, and it continues to fall deep into the abyss until it becomes bankrupt. The company's value over the past 5 years has decreased significantly, prompting it to enter into a deal with Tencent, a massive publisher that is collectively disliked by gamers. Despite such controversy, Ubisoft has done something to anger the fans again. The company has updated its EULA, which now states that those who own the product must destroy all copies at all costs. Yes, you have to burn your system down at all costs. Why it matters, the company has fallen so low that it wants to avoid any legal consequences by terminating users' access to products, which it aims to do sooner for many legacy titles. Are you kidding? It really is? This is horrible. Here it is, termination. EULA will terminate automatically if you fail to comply with any of the terms and conditions of this EULA. Upon termination for any reason, you must immediately uninstall the product and destroy all copies of the product in your possession. What? Please note that the EULA also states that Ubisoft or the licensor of the product can terminate at any time for any reason, which seems unreasonable given the company's current financial situation, potentially leading to future support issues for some games. Additionally, you are responsible for periodically checking the EULA for changes, as it is now the consumer's responsibility to detect any unreasonable changes. It's on you guys to read the EULA top to bottom and check frequently as a consumer. Wow, I wanted to go into this just being funny and snarky, but this is depressing. If for any reason you don't want to comply with the EULA, you would of course have to destroy all copies of the product you own. What do you think about Ubisoft, Ubisofty, making such unreasonable additions to its EULA? They are panicking and going in a free fall down spiral, and like EA, they are going to probably become a dissolved or bankrupt company in the next 2 years. I think they're going to lose money faster than they can get money funneled to them. So, skin suit companies. Love it. So, yo, Saved You Click Video Games says, are you tired of seeing the same news about online games shutting down over and over? If you don't like the practice of publishers killing games, you may want to check this out. Stop killing games. And so I was looking at some of this stuff. Oh yeah, Resident Evil Reverse. The game came out and died immediately. Square Enix's Babylon's Fall. Oh, I heard about this game. I kind of wanted to check it out. It's also being shut down, I guess. Gundam Evolution is shutting down. I remember when that game came out too. It was supposed to be the Overwatch killer. And then I saw this game, Battleborn. I miss Battleborn. I picked up Battleborn back when it first came out in 2016. It was a great game. I loved it. And then they just shut down the servers back in 2021. It was heartbreaking. Battleborn. I remember this game. Battleborn was like a hero shooter, but in the style of a MOBA game. It was first person, and it had a single player campaign complete with gear that you could use. It was awesome. It was like part looter shooter, and then the MOBA section, it's been so long now, but you had multiple factions that you could play as, so you would have different players teaming up to do certain objectives or fight monsters or each other, depending on if you were playing the single player version or the MOBA version. Oh, you could also defeat monsters in the MOBA as well, because it was MOBA, multiplayer online battle arena game. Overwatch, again, it killed it as well, because it came out around the same time that Overwatch did, so this did not get nearly enough support. This was a Gearbox 2K Games game. It had great graphics, great voice acting, a kind of funny story. The humor was decent enough. It wasn't bad by any means. It was cool. So yeah, the initiative would counteract things like this from happening over and over and over and over and over again. This is pretty much why we would kind of need this initiative, to stop killing games, for developers and publishers to still provide a way to have games being in a preserved sense for people to enjoy and check out for the very first time. Especially if the game was great. If it was a sleeper hit, but it just didn't make the numbers, oh, I'm sorry, we gotta pull the plug, we gotta shut it down. You're killing history. You're killing history, and this has to stop. I'm of the mindset that games are an art form, and they shouldn't be destroyed. They should still be available in some way. So I guess what I want to end off with is saying that if a game no longer has a multiplayer server, but it can still be played offline, okay, you can at least access it in some way, but this could open the door to bringing back players having the ability to host servers for dead games, putting it in their hands to reduce the workload of support that a publisher or a developer has to do for the future. So if people can check out the games as they were supposed to be played back then, in a multiplayer or an online sense, you'll get new fans, and they will buy your new products. This seems like a slam dunk. I don't know why this is not getting universal praise, or at the very least support. I don't want this to cripple the development time of indie games and AA games though. There should be a safeguard where if someone just cannot afford, like a smaller developer, if they just cannot afford to keep a server open, but they don't really want to put their code out there, like all of their code, I think this can defend against that. I think it will allow that kind of case-by-case system to happen, because it just also said it's not making the developer put everything out. Let me read it again one more time. Neither does it expect the publisher to provide resources for the said video game once they discontinue it, while leaving it in a reasonably functional playable state. They do not need to provide the full resources of a game, they just need to keep it playable. That's all they need to do. I think this will help protect smaller game developers. That's just my 2 cents. Again, I have no idea about game development. I hope it doesn't kill off smaller publishers. This seems like it's mostly meant for larger AAA developers and developers that do live service games. Let's see where this goes. Okay? Let's see where this goes. This is ZeroEchoZenith signing off. Take care, everybody. I'll see you next time.